participants today. Welcome, welcome, fellow Toastmasters of District 47. Welcome, guests as well. Welcome. Please, participants, make sure you properly name yourself tonight. If you are a first-timer, you just put FT after your name. If you are a Toastmaster, you put TM as Toastmaster. And if you are a distinguished Toastmaster, you put DTM after your names where it's applicable. And also, I invite you to reflect today on this question. I invite you, fellow attendees, fellow Toastmasters, fellow first-timers, and distinguished Toastmasters to reflect on this question that we have in the chat. You can reflect on it. What pressure is being used to help you, to help transform you while in your chrysalis stage today? That is an amazing question. We'll start in 2 minutes. Relax, enjoy the ride. Be ready to learn, to have fun, and as well to grow. We'll officially start in 2 minutes, in 1 minute. Welcome to the third day of our District 47 annual virtual conference under the theme Reimagine. I am the District 47 Division B Director, Distinguished Toastmaster Roosevelt Jean-François. Fellow Toastmaster, thank you for having me and thank you for being here. We will start today with the anthems of our countries, both the Bahamas and the United States. We will start with both anthems in just a couple of seconds.
Lift up your future show. Lift up your head to the rising sun of the land, till the road you've tried lead unto your goal. March on,
Fellow Toastmasters, welcome to District 47 2022 conference. Amazing. District 47 mission. We build new clubs and we support all clubs to achieve excellence. Of course, District 47 is part of Toastmasters International, and we share Toastmasters International core values, which are integrity, respect, service, and excellence. Fellow Toastmasters, I have the distinct honor to welcome to our global screen Club Growth Director, Distinguished Toastmaster, Blazing Lois Magdalene.
Thank you, Distinguished Toastmaster Roosevelt. I am so excited to be here. I think I will always be known as the blazing individual. Hello, hello, and welcome one and all to District 47, our Toastmasters, friends, and guests from around the world. Yes, this is indeed a global event. Have you met someone from not District 47? I know I have, and it's been fun getting to know people. Show some hearts if you were here for the first and the second night. I mean, it was absolutely incredible. There we go. I'm starting to see those hearts show up. Yep, a lot of people were here. It was so much fun. And maybe even put some emojis in the chat because you know this conference is on fire. All right, with an incredible team of volunteers, we have reimagined our way to a conference that is inspiring with incredible content. And I know tonight is going to be just as good, if not better. If you stayed with us until 11 o'clock last night, then you were so lucky to hear the amazing talent in District 47 between the spoken word, the singing, the saxophone. It was off the charts. I went to bed humming my way. And tonight we have a full agenda. But before we get started, we have several dignitaries on the virtual platform today. So please give a warm reception to our past international president, Distinguished Toastmaster Deepak Menon, our Region 8 Advisor, Distinguished Toastmaster, Natanya H. Walker, our past Region 8 International Director, Distinguished Toastmaster Anthony Longley, member of District 47, past Regional 6 International Director, Carol Perhinsky, our past Region 8 Advisor, Distinguished Toastmaster Antoinette Fox, past District 47 Governors and Directors, Distinguished Toastmasters all, Pamela Roll, Janine Kinsey, Maurice Fuller, Leonardo Burrows, District Officers, our District Director, Distinguished Toastmaster Shakira Taylor. Hi, Shakira. Our Program Quality Director, Distinguished Toastmaster Austin Canonica. Hi, Austin. Our immediate past District Director, Distinguished Toastmaster Barbara Strastas. I have to do one more. Hi, Barbara. Our District Public Relations Manager, Toastmaster Rodney Bain. Our District Administration Manager, Distinguished Toastmaster Michelle Washington. Our District Finance Manager, Toastmaster Arlene Prudhomme. Our District Conference Chairs, Distinguished Toastmaster, better known as Sugar and Spice, Antoinette Bailey and Ernesto G. Williams. Our Division Director, Director A, Distinguished Toastmaster Andrea Robinson. B, Distinguished Toastmaster Roosevelt Jeff Francois. C, Distinguished Toastmaster Elizabeth George. D, Distinguished Toastmaster Deandra Dorset. E, Distinguished Toastmaster Tiffany C. Burrell Roberts. F, Distinguished Toastmaster Gerard Roll. I, Distinguished Toastmaster Derek Garcia Roll. My heart goes out to the entire District Executive Council and chairs. Let's show them some love with lots of hearts for all our area directors and chairs and team members of the district. I hope those of you serving this year see all those hearts out there because it is meant for you. Please help me welcome our vivacious conference chair, Distinguished Toastmaster Antoinette Bailey.
Good evening, District 47 Toastmasters and guests. Distinguished Toastmaster Joe Grondin is a retired educator and is now with the guidance of his Toastmaster family, fulfilling his dream of being an international inspirational speaker. He is the author of the books Living in Harmony with Our Children and Speak to Reach. And he has been asked to speak throughout North America and these topics. Joe is a feel-good type of guy and takes every opportunity to dance in public, much to the dismay of his wife and his 2 children. Joe is a proud Toastmaster, and he truly believes that Toastmaster audience are the best audience in the world. I second that. He has been so busy traveling the globe to pursue his passions. Recent destinations include Malaysia, Washington, D.C., and Las Vegas to participate in Toastmasters International World Championship of Public Speaking. Having qualified 7 times for the World Championship of Public Speaking, he has successfully placed in the top 10 on 2 occasions. Joe is a 3-time TEDx speaker, a TEDx coach, and is one of 89 people in the world who has earned the prestigious accredited speaker destination from Toastmasters International in 2017. Joe admits that his biggest accomplishment is getting hugs from his grandchildren. His keynote presentation is titled, Dig Deep. Please help me welcome to our Reimagine Conference, Distinguished Toastmaster, Joe Grondin.
Thank you so much for that wonderful introduction. Fellow Toastmasters and friends from District 47, because now I can call you my friend. I remember it like it was yesterday. I am sitting in an auditorium with 6,000 other teachers, listening to a professional, inspirational speaker, delivering the keynote address, inspiring me to think differently. That was the same day that I reimagined myself as a professional, inspirational speaker. I go home and I say to my wife, I want to be a professional, inspirational speaker. And she says, join Toastmasters. I said, great. What's Toastmasters? Wanting to be a professional inspirational speaker and actually becoming a professional inspirational speaker is another thing. You see, by nature, I am shy, introverted, wouldn't say boo if my life depended on it. And if it wasn't for Mrs. Elliott, I never would have embarked on this journey of becoming a professional inspirational speaker. You see, my mother told me that I was the prettiest baby in the world. Raise your hand if you were told you were the prettiest baby in the world. Oh, yeah. Okay, raise your hand if you've ever been a baby. Go ahead. Oh, I'm proud that my mother thinks that I was the prettiest baby in the world until I find a picture of me as a baby. And it's not pretty. For those of you who are Lord of the Ring fans, I look like a baby Smeagol. And if you don't know what a Smeagol looks like, Google it. Not pretty. It didn't get much better when I go to school. I live 5 minutes away from my school. It takes me at least a half an hour to get there. Why? I'm either being roughed up by a bully because I look different, or I'm taking the long way around to hide from the bullies. On top of that, I'm not the brightest crayon in the box. The closest I ever come to a good grade is the straight A student sitting right next to me. What's that? I remember parent-teacher interviews. Mr. Jones, my teacher, invites me into the classroom with my parents to show my well below average marks. Right before my eyes, my parents go into a depression. Until Mr. Jones says, there is good news. My parents looked up in shock. I wait in anticipation. Yes, good news. Happy parents, happy life. He looks at my parents and says, at least we know your son is not cheating. Thanks. I think. I always wanted to hang out with the cool kids. You know, the ones that look like they have it all together. I would even try and get close to them so people would think that I'm part of the cool kids group. But they would chase me away and throw rocks. And on the odd occasion, they would connect. Like, ouch. I remember going into school one day, feeling down in the dumps. And Mrs. Elliott, my favorite teacher, I would tell her anything. Sensing there's something wrong. She says, Joey, because that's what they called me back then. Joey, what's the matter? We sit down and I say, Mrs. Elliott, I'm an unchild. I'm unattractive. I'm unintelligent. I'm uncool. I'm unhappy. I said, I can't wait till I get smarter. I can't wait till I become better looking. I can't wait till I'm cool, because then I'll be happy and successful. And Mrs. Elliott smiles and says, Joey, don't wish your life away. Your happiness and your success totally depends on you. She says, Joey, I can teach you 4 lessons that will help you be happy and successful. Do you want to hear those lessons? And I said, please. She looks at me and says, Joey, 1, the sun, 2 eyes, 3 triangle, 4 square. 1 sun, 2 eyes, 3 triangle, 4 square. She says, Joey, 1, the sun, like the sun shines down on us. Find what shines in you that will put a smile on your face that you'll want to do again and again and again. 2, eyes. Focus on the possible. Know and believe anything is possible. Past international president Deepak Menon said everything is possible in Toastmasters. When you open up those gates to possibilities, you open up the gates to happiness and success. 3, triangle. Mrs. Elliott said that the triangle is the strongest shape of all. Strengthen your triangle of happiness and success by paying attention to all 3 sides of your triangle. Side number 1, embrace and celebrate your differences. Side number 2, take the time to lift others up because it will lift you up. And side number 3, now Joy, I want you to pay attention to this. Side number 3, be at peace knowing that you are enough. That's 3, triangle. 4, square. Joey, don't let the world box you into negativity. Think outside the box. Think positive, because positive thinkers get it done. And positive thinking is the universal language of happiness. So Joey, whenever the world knocks you down and you're struggling to find happiness and success, always, always remember, 1, the sun, 2, eyes, 3, triangle, 4, square. I still remember those valuable life lessons. And I get reminded almost every day of each one of those lessons. But you see, what I realized on my Toastmaster journey, Mrs. Elliott taught me those valuable lessons. But Toastmasters guided me to dig deep, to uncover all of those lessons. So I walked through that door for the first time, shy, introverted, wouldn't say boo if my life depended on it, equipped with Mrs. Elliott's lessons. And lo and behold, I realized on my 20-year journey in Toastmasters, Toastmasters guided me to dig deep for those lessons. For instance, 1, the sun. Like the sun shines down on us, find what shines within us. That will put a smile on your face. You'll want to do again and again and again. I have to admit, I was reminded of that lesson by my granddaughter, Dahlia. Now I want you to picture my granddaughter, Dahlia, is sitting on my lap. And she looks at me and she says, Papa, close your eyes. So I close my eyes. And she clips this on my nose. She says, now, Papa, open your eyes. So I open my eyes and I see this huge thing hanging from my nose. But if you could have seen the pure happiness in her face and the word that made it worthwhile. Again, again, and again. She clipped this on my lip, my tongue, my chin, my ear, my eyebrow. By the time we were finished, I had a very sore face. To find what shines, Toastmasters has us dig deep for that shine. Because when I walked through that door for the first time, they gave me a mentor. Her name is the late Shirley Kelly, former district governor. I could not have asked for a better mentor because she asked me what I wanted to do. I said, I want to be a professional inspirational speaker. And she said, okay, let's get started. And Shirley guided me to dig deep to find what shines within me. And lo and behold, what shines within me is speaking. And all of those shiny tools that help me become a speaker. And this puts a smile on my face every day that I want to do again, again, and again. And that's why I am so happy to be here, because I want to do this again and again and again. That's 1, the sun. 2, eyes. Focus on the possible. Know and believe that anything is possible. Opening up those doors to possibilities, happiness, and success. And again, I have to admit, I get reminded. I have 3 grandchildren. I follow them around with a notebook. My grandson, Xavier, oh, he's the cutest little boy. But whenever he's given a task, He has possibility written all over his face. He doesn't know the definition of impossible. He just was potty trained. He's running around the house. And he comes up to me and he says, Papa, I have a dream. He says, I have a dream. I said, okay, Xavier, what's your dream? He said, Papa, I want to pee standing up like Daddy. I got to tell you, in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, okay, this is impossible. But I bring him to the washroom. I stand him up on a stool. I lift the toilet seat because I'm told that's important to do. And I say to Xavier, I said, Xavier, can you aim to the middle of the toilet? He said, yes, Papa. I said, okay. So I leave him to do his business. I wait till he's finished, give him his privacy. I go back to see how he did. And as expected, there is more pee on the floor than in the toilet. I said, Xavier, could you not have at least hit the middle of the toilet? No, I want you to picture this big blue-eyed boy looking up at me and saying, Papa, do you know how hard it is to steer this thing? I learned never to underestimate the power of a floating Cheerio. You throw one of those suckers in the toilet, all of a sudden it becomes possible for him to pee standing up like his daddy. You see, Toastmasters guides us to dig deep to find that possible. And we have many, many examples of people who find the possible. I was fortunate enough to share the stage in the finals of 2015 World Champion of Public Speaking, sharing the stage with Muhammad Khatani, the year he won the World Championship of Public Speaking. I'm not bitter. He deserved to win. But what I remember the most, sitting in an audience of 2,000 people, he gives his acceptance speech. And he shares with all of us that for the first 4 or 5 years of his life, he was mute, couldn't speak a word. And to this day, he still struggles with stuttering. And there he stands, world champion of public speaking. But what I remember the most, and I thought he was talking to me directly. He said, if this is possible for me, it's possible for you. Anything is possible. Everything is possible. 2, eyes. 3, triangle. To strengthen our triangle of happiness and success is to pay attention to the 3 sides to our triangle. First side is to embrace and celebrate our differences. Toastmasters International is a global organization. And that's exactly what we do in Toastmasters, is we celebrate and embrace our differences across cultures. We're all different. And that is such a wonderful asset of this planet Earth. And we have examples of people leading differently, communicating differently, doing evaluations differently. You watch the 2014 World Championship of Public Speaking, Dana Jaya Hitarachi, using a rose and the catchphrase, I see something in you, but I just don't know what it is. I will always remember. And Muhammad Khatani walking on stage with a cigarette and a lighter, going to light. And those of you who are in the audience, it's different. We're all different. You see, Toastmasters International, along with Shirley Kelly, had me dig deep to have the confidence to celebrate our differences. And as you can see, I like to wear different clothing. My wife and I are in a clothing store because I wanted to pick something out for our district conference. I walk in and I see this jacket. Oh, you can imagine how excited I was. I tried it on, looked in the mirror. Yes, that's me. That's different. Now my wife is on the other end of the clothing store, the farthest away that she could be. I've never seen a woman move so quick to get to me, seeing me try on this jacket. And she looked at me and I looked at her. She said, what do you think of the jacket? She said, it is different. I looked at the price tag, $19.99. Woo-hoo! So I buy two. Oh, yeah. And I remember going to the district conference with this jacket on. Our guest was past international president Richard Peck. We drum up a friendship. He loves my jacket. He says, Joe, let's trade jackets. We'll take pictures. And it drew a lot of comments and fun. And I've got pictures of him and I changing jackets. But it's amazing the reaction when we do something different. One gentleman walked by me, took one look at me and said, did you lose a bet? and an elderly woman walks up to me and she said, my mother has curtains that look just like that jacket. And I will never, ever forget. I was at a district conference. I was doing a keynote. I told him the story about this jacket. And a gentleman with all seriousness came up to me and he said, you paid $19.99 too much for that jacket. Always embrace and celebrate our differences. And this is why I wear different clothing, to celebrate our differences. Side number 2, take the time to lift up because it will lift us up. And isn't that what Toastmasters is all about? I heard Deepak Menon's keynote about we rarely ever get no when we ask for help because people in Toastmasters, they want to lift us up. And I know that there were many people, Marlene Smith and Deepak, and they told the story about table topics, and we all have our story about table topics. And I have mine. Unfortunately, the second meeting, table topics master comes over to me and he says, Joe, do you want to do table topics? And I said, sure, because I'm a yes person and I like to please people, not really knowing what table topics was all about. When it comes time for me to answer a question that I know nothing about, I realize at that moment, one does not have to exercise in order to sweat profusely. I know runners, they talk about this second wind. You know, it's like euphoria. They can go forever. My second wind that night, hyperventilation. I take a deep breath in. I stand up and I deliver a 5-word table topic. I sit down in a pool of sweat and I let that breath out. I have to admit, nobody came up to me that day and said, you could be a professional inspirational speaker. But what I do remember is Shirley Kelly, my mentor, coming over to me and saying, Joey, great job. I said, Shirley, were you in the same room when I delivered that table topic? I spoke 5 words. 3 of them were filler words. She looked at me and said, Joe, I'm congratulating you on having the courage to stand up and do your first table topics. You are one step closer to your goal of being a professional inspirational speaker. And you know what? I could have walked out that room feeling very down on myself. But Shirley lifted me up. And when I walked out that door, I was on cloud 9, feeling very good about myself. And that's what Toastmasters International does. They have us dig deep so that we are always lifted up. And the third side, and the most important, according to Mrs. Elliott, the third side, know and be at peace that you are enough. I was encouraged to compete, try to be the world champion of public speaking. I'm not there yet. But I've lost more contests than I've won. I've made many mistakes and I'm down in the dumps. And like Mrs. Elliott, Shirley came up to me and said, Joe, what's the matter? I said, Shirley, I don't know if I can do this. I'm making too many mistakes. I have too many weaknesses to be a professional inspirational speaker. And she said, Joe, I want you to look back at your path at Toastmasters International. You have been to the finals of the World Championship of Public Speaking twice. You've got your DTM and you've got your accredited speaker designation. I want you to remember that Les Brown quote, shoot for the moon. Even if you miss, you'll land among the stars. And you've landed among a lot of stars. She says, Joe, going forward, know that you are enough. Know that strive for perfection so you can achieve excellence. Strive for perfection so you can achieve excellence. Again, I'm walking out of that room. Lift it up. 3, triangle. Strengthen your triangle of happiness and success. And 4, square. Don't let the world box you into negativity. Think outside the box. Think positive. Because positive thinking is the universal language of happiness. And positive thinkers find a way to get it done. See, a positive psychologist proved there is a job called the positive psychologist, proved that our brains are wired for negative. But we can retrain our brain to think positive. You're probably thinking, well, Joe, if my brain is naturally wired for negative, why would I change it to positive? You see, here's the thing. Positive thinkers are creative thinkers. They find a way when there's an obstacle in front of them. They find a way through the creative thought process by thinking positive. They find a way to either go around, over, or through the obstacle. Negative thinkers, there's usually one solution. It can't be done. It can't be done. But there's a place for negative thinkers because they have a gift for seeing an obstacle even before we see it. And then the positive thinkers come in and say, you know what? I think Toastmasters International has collected all the positive thinkers in the world. I truly do. We have so many positive thinkers. Now, I started this about 20 years ago with my students in schools, and I make all my audiences a promise, and I make my students a promise that if they see me anywhere in the community and they say, Mr. Grondin, how are you feeling? I will do a happy dance to celebrate positive thinking. Oh, yeah. Now, I'll show you what I mean. Now, you don't have to turn, you mute off or mute on, but on the count of 3, I want you all to say, Joe, how you feeling? 1, 2, 3. I feel good. Oh, I feel so good. Huh. Oh, I feel so good. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Now, why do I do that? Why do I do that? Well, when you walk into a school full of teenagers and they're there at 8:30 in the morning and they had to catch a bus at 7, they're not very positive about being there. And those of you who have worked with teenagers or have teenagers, or just maybe you were a teenager, you know what I'm talking about. If you ask a teenager what time school should start, they're probably going to say 3 o'clock in the afternoon and finish at 3:05. But it takes one student to yell, Mr. Grondin, how you feeling? And I'll go into my happy dance. And whenever I'm finished, guess what they're doing? They're laughing. They're smiling. They're having fun. And it's very hard when you're laughing, smiling, and having fun to be negative. The only problem when you go to the mall and you have your own 2 teenager children and somebody yells out, Mr. Grondin, how you feeling? They disappear. I am no longer their father for the duration of that song and dance. But they come back because they want money. and I have a feeling my wife is getting a little tired of it. I've been doing it for more than 20 years. We're in a restaurant. I have my tray. My wife is behind me with her tray. And I know what you're thinking. Romantic dinner. I'm leading her to a table. Somebody yells out, Mr. Grondin, how you feeling? My wife is behind me doing this. Go sit down, go sit down, go sit down. I do the dance. And I remember being in the mall and I'm going in the men's washroom and one of my grade 5 students sees me going into the washroom. Now, you're probably getting ahead of me here. He opens the door, yells, Mr. Grondin, how you feeling? He runs the other way. I am alone in the men's washroom doing my dance. When I get to the, oh yeah, An older gentleman walks in, takes one look at me, and walks straight out again. But I have to tell you, we're all having a family meal in a five-star restaurant. We're all dressed up, celebrating my son's birthday. And halfway through that meal, a young gentleman comes over to our table. He looks at me and says, "Is your name Mr. Grondin?" At that point, my children knew what was coming, so they rolled their eyes. And I could have sworn I saw my wife roll her eyes. And I said, "Yes, I'm Mr. Grondin." He said, "How are you feeling, Mr. Grondin?" So I stand up in the middle of this five-star restaurant. I do my dance. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I sit down. He says, "Thank you." He goes back to his table, and guess what he does? He collects a $20 bill from his father because he bet his father he could make me dance. Now, isn't that positive? But if you could have seen the ripple effect of the laughter, the smiles, the fun, and maybe for the duration of that song and dance, people forgot about the negative and started remembering the positive. And when you think about Toastmasters International, they have us dig deep to find that positive. Because sometimes you have to dig really deep to find it. Whenever we fail, Toastmasters International is the best and most positive place to fail, because you're always going to walk out that door feeling uplifted. So yes, ladies and gentlemen, this shy, introverted, wouldn't say boo if my life depended on it, reimagined himself as a professional, inspirational speaker, because Toastmasters had me dig deep to find those valuable lessons that Mrs. Elliott taught me. One, the sun. Like the sun shines down on us, find what shines within us. That puts a smile on your face that you want to do again and again and again. Two, eyes. Focus on the possible. Know and believe that anything is possible, because opening up those doors to possibilities is opening up those doors to happiness and success. Three, triangle. Exercise your triangle of happiness. Strengthen your triangle of happiness by celebrating and embracing your difference, taking the time to uplift people, and it will uplift you. And last but not least, be at peace knowing that you are enough. And four, square. Don't let the world box you into negativity. Think outside the box. Think positive, because positive thinkers find a way. And positive thinking is the universal language of happiness. My hope, my wish for all of us as we continue our journey in Toastmasters International, reimagining ourselves, allow Toastmasters to guide you to dig deep so that you can find your shine, your possible, your strength, and your positive. Thank you so much, District 47, for inviting me, my new family. I so appreciate it. Words cannot express my gratitude. Thank you so much. Back to you, Mr. Toastmaster. Or Madam Toastmaster, my apologies.
Let's show our appreciation with some hearts and some claps for our accredited speaker, Joe Grondin. Distinguished Toastmaster, we in District 47 is so happy to host you and appreciate the time you're spending with us here tonight at our conference. I know fellow Toastmasters and guests got something impactful from your presentation tonight. My takeaway, of course, is the sun. We live here in sunny South Florida and in the Bahamas as well. Sun is always shining. Eyes, focus on the possibility, the triangle, embrace and celebrate your difference. Square, think outside the box. If you know me, I'm always thinking outside the box. Have to have that positive thinking going. Fellow Toastmasters and guests, I encourage you to dig deep so that you can shine within. But you know what? Hey, Joe, how you feeling? Let's see that happy dance. District 47. Hey, when I say, hey, District 47, how you feeling? I'm encouraging everybody. Open up your mics and get up and let's do a happy dance for Joe. Hey, ready, everyone? Hey, District 47, how are you feeling? Let's see you dance.
I feel good. Oh, I feel so good. Huh. Oh, I feel so good. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you, distinguished Toastmaster Joe Grondin. Ladies and gentlemen, oh, that was just awesome. So I encourage you, once we say, hey, District 47, how you feeling? We know it's time to dance. Mark Twain once said, humor is mankind's greatest blessing. It's not often easy to pull off, but a well-constructed, funny speech will bring lots of laughs to the audience and many rewards to the speaker. The humorous contest will begin in 1 minute.
Good evening, fellow Toastmasters. Can you hear me now?
Yes, you are audible and heard.
Thank you. Good evening, fellow Toastmasters and most welcome guests. This event is now called to order. We need to let you know that by attending this online district speech contest, you agree to the privacy and policies of Toastmasters International, as well as the unassociated remote hosting service. Some of your personal information, such as name, image, and any shared messages may be shared with other meeting participants and will be recorded by Toastmasters International. You may use the recording in future as you see fit. The remote attendance hereby discharges Toastmasters International from all claims, demands, rights, promises, damages, and liability arising out of or in connection with use or distribution of said video recordings, including but not limited to any claims for invasion of privacy, appropriation of likeliness, and defamation. Thank you. Now, please help me give a warm welcome to our contest master, Toastmaster Matthew Perales.
Woo! Thank you. That's what I'm imagining everyone doing behind their screens. Well, Thank you so much, our Sergeant at Arms. I am, of course, again, Matthew Perlis, who's going to be annoying you, hopefully not annoying you, but helping you and directing you through this absolutely wonderful humorous speech contest. And I hope you're ready to laugh, because I know I am. I have my beverage ready. I have my snacks ready. And you know I'm a super fan when I have the light sticks ready. I bet you didn't think this was going to turn on. Boom, it did actually turn on. And guess what? I don't just have the small one, guys. I have a bigger light stick right here, and it does light up. Ooh. But that's, of course, me just being a bigger fan than some of you guys tonight. But, of course, that does not quite matter, because we're all here to celebrate and to laugh at this humorous contest. Well, thank you guys so much again, and I'm honored to serve as your contest master. The master of ceremonies is here with you tonight, and serving with me are a couple of high-quality Zoom technical coordinators, which means they actually know how to run Zoom. Isn't that crazy? I've been using it for like a year. I don't even know what's left and what's right. But of course, that is done by Distinguished Toastmaster Michelle Leeway, Distinguished Toastmaster Charmaine Strawn, and Toastmaster Shavado Gibson. We'd also like to acknowledge all our club members here and district officers and members, and to thank you to Toastmaster International for serving our members. We'd also love to thank all of our guests for coming here, and I want to see so many Zoom reactions, so many emojis, that we break the buttons here on Zoom. I don't know if that's possible, but I mean, we can definitely try it, guys. I'm not afraid to go for it if you guys are. But let us move with the main event for the night, which is, of course, our contest. The purposes of the humorous speech contest are to provide an opportunity to learn by observing the more proficient speakers who have benefited from their Toastmasters training, and to recognize the best as encouragement to all, and of course, tickle a funny bone or two. And of course, this is the top of the top here. This is the place where the comedians have showed up tonight, because this is it for the humorous speech contests. The Zoom technical coordinators are instructed not to admit anyone into the contest room while the speakers are giving their presentations. In accordance with Toastmaster rules, you will be muted, your webcams and the chat will be turned off. And to help finalize these points and to lay down the law is, of course, our law bearer for the night, our chief judge, Toastmaster, Distinguished Toastmaster, Ernesto Gongora, to provide an overview of the rules of the humorous speech contest.
Thank you, Contest Master, fellow Toastmasters, and distinguished guests. Good evening. The humorous speech contest follows the rules outlined in the general rules section of the current speech contest rulebook. The following additions and exceptions apply. It has been confirmed that all contestants are eligible, and to be eligible, a contestant must be a Toastmaster in good standing of a club in good standing, not presently be an international, district, or area officer, nor have declared the intent to run for such offices. Contestants must create their own speeches, and each must be substantially original. 25% or less of the speech may be devoted to quoting, paraphrasing, or referencing another person's content. Any quoted, paraphrased, or referenced content must be identified during the speech presentation. Contestants who reference another contestant's speech will be disqualified. Speakers may stay in the room, and should they choose to leave the room during the contest, they may return during the 1 minute of silence while the judges are making their ballots. Contestants have 5 minutes from the time their number is called to return to the contest room and be acknowledged by the contest master. After 5 minutes, the chief judge, that's me, will announce that the contestants has forfeited their turn, and the contest will continue with the next contestant. The time of the speech is to be 5 to 7 minutes. Any speaker speaking less than 4 minutes and 30 seconds or more than 7 minutes and 30 seconds will be disqualified. The timing signals will be activated as follows. Madam Timer, Miss Timer, are you there with the timing lights or backgrounds? Thank you.
Yes.
The green light signal will show on at 5 minutes. The yellow signal at 6 minutes, and the red signal at 7 minutes, which will stay on until the speaker has finished speaking. No notice shall be given should the speaker go over time. Timing starts with the first word uttered or when the speaker uses any form of communication to the audience. There will be 1 minute of silence between speakers so the judges may complete their forms. All judges have been briefed and are confirmed, qualified, and eligible to judge. There is a secret tiebreaker known only to me, whose ballot will only be utilized in the event of a tie. Judges have been instructed not to consider time in the ranking of the speakers. Protests are limited to eligibility and originality and can only be lodged by voting judges and contestants. Any protests should be lodged with the chief judge or contest chair prior to the announcement of the winner. Once announced, the results are final. Contest master, that completes the overview of the speech contest rules. Let the contest begin.
Woo! Woo! Bravo. Bravo. And that is our chief judge. So if you think you can actually cheat, you got to deal with him. You don't have to deal with me. You got to deal with him. I'm just giving you the heads up. Oh, there was the fist. Oh, double fist. Woo. I did not have tickets for that gun show, but he said, let's continue the contest, and that we shall. So with that being said, the contestants have drawn their speaking order, and the order is as followed. Speaking first, Benita Hamilton. Speaker number 2, Daytwan Dames. Speaker number 3, Terry Spencer. Speaker number 4, Paolo Barone. Speaker number 5, Antoine Roll. Speaker number 6, Jerome Johnson. And speaker number 7, Patricia Rua. There will be 1 minute of silence between contestants for the judges to mark their ballots. So, with that being said, timers, are you ready?
Yes, timer is ready.
You heard it there first. Timer is ready. Are you guys ready? I want to see some emojis. I want to see some spam. I want to see some text on the screen because we cannot unmute ourselves at the moment. Oh, I'm seeing some hearts. I'm seeing a lot of different emojis going on. Well, wonderful. Let us get started. Please put 1 minute of time on the clock as we prepare for our first contestant.
One minute.
We will now begin the humorous speech contest. Please welcome contestant number 1. Please provide a mic check for us, would you?
Mic check, mic check.
Thank you, we can hear you. Are you happy with your webcam framing?
I am.
Timer, could you please announce yourself?
Timer number 1.
Awesome. Could you see the timer on that one?
I can.
And we do recommend you pinning the timer if you're comfortable doing so. Thank you. Let's get started. Contestant number 1, Benita Hamilton. What? What? Benita Hamilton.
The exclamation "what" can have different connotations depending on what was said. One is for repetition and verification because you want to make sure that you heard it right. What? 2 is for specification and clarification because you want to make sure what you heard is what you should have heard. Wait, what? And 3 is for shock and disbelief because you can't fathom what you heard. What? Contest master, dignitaries, fellow Toastmasters, and guests. I have utilized that exclamation millions of times since the birth of my youngest child. And along with that exclamation has been an involuntary eye twitch that always seems to surface when I'm talking with him or about him. For example, 1 month before I was due to give birth, the doctor said, "Miss Hamilton, you are in labor." What? When my son was in elementary school, I get a phone call from his teacher. "Miss Hamilton, your son stood up in the center of my class, stated he had had enough. I am out of here," and walked out of my class. What? When my son was in high school, Mom and I were driving through the neighborhood where we live, not too far from the school, and my mom noticed 4 boys skipping school. "That's my grandson." "That's your son. Shouldn't he be in school?" What? And I immediately applied the brakes. I got out of the car and I started running with every ounce of my existence. And when I caught up to him, I grabbed him and I turned him around and said, "What are you doing out of school?" When he opened his mouth to respond, I got hit with a puff of smoke, and it was weed. For those of you who aren't familiar, weed is synonymous with reefer, ganja, cannabis, marijuana. I said, "Get in the car." Fast forward, years later, I get a phone call. "Mom, what? I'm coming home." What? And he's been here ever since. He also has had that weed as a constant in his life. And for some reason, it's given him the heightened concept of his awesomeness, because he usually walks around the house and his eyes are always dilated. And he says, "Mom, I'm awesome. I'm awesome. People love me, Mom." He seems to think he's the greatest undiscovered rap artist of all time. Not my genre of music, but okay. You can see him in the backyard and he's live streaming, which means other people can hear his music. So he comes to me and he says, Mom, I'm awesome. I'm awesome. People love me, Mom. People love my music. As a matter of fact, I was in the backyard and I was playing my music, and even nature got in tune with my music because the trees started swaying back and forth to the sound of my music. What? He also seems to think that he's some kind of animal whisperer, like he's at one with the animals. He thinks he's Dr. Dolittle. He came across a wounded hawk and he called the Wildlife Federation to come and pick the hawk up. So after they got the hawk, he comes to me and he says, Mom, I'm awesome. I'm awesome. People love me, Mom. People love my music. Nature loves my music. And the animals love me. After they picked up that hawk, he extended his wing as if to shake my hand and say, thank you for saving me. But that's not it. I went to the backyard and all of a sudden these birds started flying around my head as if to say, thank you for saving our friend. What? On another occasion, there was a bobcat sitting on the other side of the fence watching us. So my son says, Mom, you see that? You see that? That bobcat's here for me, Mom. He heard what I did for that hawk and he's here for me. I'm gonna go over there and I'm gonna go hang with him. We gonna hang. What? Are you crazy? That bobcat will shred you. You better not go touch that bobcat. We had another discussion and he says to me, Mom, I'm awesome. I'm awesome. People love me, Mom. People love my music. People love me. They love the animals, love me. He said, and you know what? The weed be letting you know. What? Son, do you think you can consult the weed and see if the weed can let you know when you're getting out of this house? My son said, what? Contest master.
Thank you so much. May we please have 1 minute of silence while the judges mark their ballots. Timer, please give me the red signal at 1 minute. Let
1
us
minute.
continue. Oh, thank you. Let's continue our contest. Welcome, contestant number 2. Please provide a mic check.
Mic check, 1, 2, 1, 2.
Awesome. Are you happy with how you're framed in the webcam?
Yes, I am.
Awesome. Timer, please announce yourself.
Timer number 1.
Were we able to see the timer?
Yes, I am.
Cool. We recommend that you pin the timer if you're comfortable doing so. Continuing on. Contestant number 2, Detwan James. Building relationships. Building relationships, Detwan Dames.
I have lived on this earth for more than 2 decades now. And one thing that I've learned is that building relationships play an important part in all of our lives. Don't you agree? Contest chair, Toastmasters, and guests. I work at a shipyard. And for those who do not know, a shipyard is basically a yard with ships in it. When I first got hired at this shipyard as a pipe fitting apprentice, I automatically knew that something was wrong because everyone looked so serious. The pipe fitting department consists of about 10 Bahamians and about 30 Filipinos. And every morning, it would look like 2 gangs separated in their own territories. I ignored it for the first few days. Then it started to bother me, so I did something. One day, instead of sitting with the Bahamians, I decided to sit with the Filipinos. And the moment I sat down in front of them, they all stopped talking and just stared at me. One of the Filipinos said, "What do you want, boy?" I looked at him, I smiled, and then I said, "I'm your new friend, boy." They all looked at each other, so confused, and then they laughed. I asked them, "Why is it that every morning the Bahamians are on that side of the workshop and the Filipinos are on this side of the workshop?" One of the Filipinos in the back opened his eyes wide, and then he said, "Because Bahamian no like." I said, "Bahamian no like? What do you mean?" He opened his eyes wide again, and then he said, "Because Bahamian no like Filipino." I turned around to the table where the Bahamians were sitting, and all of them were staring at me like this. They called me over. I walked up to them, and one of them said, "What were you doing over there?" I said, "Well, since I'm new, I thought I should get to know the people that I'm going to be working with." He shook his head, and he said, "Don't do that anymore. Because they don't like Bahamians, they want to see us fail, and that is why they do not teach us anything. Watch out for them." These are two different groups of people working in the same department, but not working together in harmony. I made a decision that I was not going to be like the Filipinos, and I was not going to be like the Bahamians who distanced themselves from each other. I decided that I was going to be different. And because I already had a good standing relationship with the Bahamians, I decided to work on building a relationship with the Filipinos. One day, I was working on a ship with a Filipino by the name of Milbert. Milbert is an old, serious-faced guy who do not talk a lot. We was working at the bottom of the ship, and we had to climb a ladder all the way to the top. And when I saw how long that ladder was, I said to myself, "No way." Milbert pulled me out of his way, and then he started climbing the ladder like this. And I was behind him, climbing the ladder like this. And when we finally made it to the top, I said, "Milbert, are you sure you're 58 years old? What's your secret, man?" Milbert looked me dead in the eye. He leaned forward, and then he said, "Just eat rice." Just eat rice? What do you mean, just eat rice? Just eat rice. Rice make you strong. He went back to his serious face, and then he walked off. I was confused. I was surprised. But it was at that moment I knew that if I can get that guy to show a little bit of personality, then I could get the rest of the Filipinos to loosen up a little bit. So I started building a relationship with the Filipinos. I started making funny jokes. They started laughing. I started showing that I was serious and interested in learning the job. They started showing me their skills and techniques. And eventually, they started teaching the other apprentices too. And guess whose birthday was coming up? Milbert. Guess who got invited? Me. And when I got there, guess what was there to eat? Rice. Not only did they have rice, they also had seafood, they had a whole lot of alcohol, and an entire cooked pig on the table. I'm not going to talk about how funny Filipinos are when they are singing karaoke while being drunk, but we did have a phenomenal time. And because I built a relationship with the Filipinos, I got the best of two worlds. Learning from the Filipinos and the Bahamians helped me advance in my skills at work. Is there anything that you would like to advance in? Toastmasters and guests. Pride kills. Pride set boundaries. Pride set limitations, and you will never know that the key to you advancing in life is an old Filipino telling you to just eat rice. No, seriously, you will never know that the key to your success is as simple as building a relationship with the people around you, like your son, your daughter, your husband, your wife, your mother, your father, your neighbors, even your coworkers. So I challenge all of you to take the first step in building a relationship with the people around you, because you do not know who holds the key to the door of your next chapter in your life. Contest chair.
Thank you so much. May we please have 1 minute of silence while the judges mark their ballots. Timer, please give the signal at 1 minute. Perfect. Let us continue with the humor speech contest. Please welcome contestant number 3. Please provide a mic check for us.
Mic check, mic check, mic check.
Awesome. Are you happy with how you are framed in your webcam?
I am.
Awesome. Timer, could you please announce yourself?
Timer number 1.
Cool. Were you able to see the timer?
Yes.
Awesome. We, of course, recommend that you pin the timer if you're comfortable doing so. Thank you, and let's continue. Contestant number 3, Terry Spencer. I quit, and so should you.
Wrong speech. That's tomorrow. Tonight's speech is, how did that happen?
Contestant number 3, Terry Spencer. How did that happen? How did that happen? Terry Spencer.
I'm turning 63 soon, which leads to an obvious question, at least for me. How the heck did that happen? I mean, it was just a few years ago that I was graduating from high school, from college, starting my career, getting married, and now all of a sudden I'm rapidly approaching retirement? Not to mention the fact that I am now probably closer to death than I am to any of those events. Yikes. But Mr. Contest Master, honored dignitaries, fellow Toastmasters, and most welcome guests, aging is the one thing we all have in common, and it is certainly better than the alternative. But it sneaks up on us all in different ways until one day it's standing right there behind you, slaps you up back the head and announces, I'm here. I first realized that I was getting older when I was about 45 or 46, and it dawned on me that I had lived about as many years as I had in front of me, even if everything went perfectly. Because look at me, I am not making it to 100. Part of that's because I'm a man. Did you know that women are 4 times more likely to make it to 100 than men are? Now, maybe that's because they just live better. They diet, they exercise, they don't drink as much beer. Or perhaps, guys, they are slowly killing us just so they can have a few years of peace and quiet and Hallmark movies in their dotage. I report, you decide. But it really hit me that I was getting older when I was 48. It was the year 2008. I worked for the Associated Press, and at that time, I was the Florida editor in charge of the entire state. My staff, they made me look better than I ever deserved. Now, some of them were on the young side, in their 20s, including a woman named Jessica. Columbia grad, now covers the US Supreme Court for us when she's not teaching law school part-time. Her brilliancy bona fides off the charts. Anyway, on this particular day, Fidel Castro announces that he's stepping down as the president of Cuba to be replaced by his younger brother, Raul. So I walk out into the newsroom and say to no one in particular, meet the new boss, same as the old boss, because that's the kind of wit that I have. Now, some of the older reporters, they're laughing because that's what you have to do when your boss makes a joke. But some of the younger ones were looking at me like, eh. And then Jessica, she pipes up and says, meet the new boss, same as the old boss. Isn't that part of a song? Yes, it's part of a song from my youth, my now long ago youth. So I turned and grabbed the walker that had miraculously appeared next to me, and I shuffled back into my office. And then there was this thing with my eyes. When I was young, say in my 30s, I had perfect vision, 20/15. I could see a pimple on a mosquito's butt from 30 yards away. A dear friend would say, I don't like hanging around with you because I'm pretty certain with your vision, you can see through everyone's clothes. But then I got into my 50s and things started getting blurry, particularly on the page. So I went to the optometrist because I thought something was wrong. And she took one look at me and she said, yes, something is wrong. You're getting old. But we can fix that for you. Here, wear trifocals. That will make things better. No, they really don't. Then there's the opposite sex. Even as we get older, we want to believe that we have some sex appeal left for the opposite sex. I mean, don't get me wrong. I am 100% faithful to my wife. But if she ever got smart and kicked me to the curb, I'd like to think that I could make something happen. If I lost like 30 more pounds or so, I mean, it wasn't like I was a chick magnet when I was younger, but women weren't running for the hills either. But then one day recently, I go to Sports Clips to get what little hair I have left styled. And there's a younger woman there, new employee. And so I walk in, she's attractive, not that young, in her 40s. So I walk in, put a big smile on my face. Good afternoon. And she looks at me and says, good afternoon, sir. Sir. And then when she's done cutting my hair, she says, you know, we do offer a senior's discount. Isn't that for people 65 and older? Mm-hmm. I'm 62. Oh, okay. No apology or anything because you know what she's thinking. What a liar. Or honest mistake, one anyone would have made. I'm not going to kick myself for it. And then I've been having trouble with my feet. A few months ago, I stubbed my toe. And when you're young, say in your 50s, when you stub your toe, it's all good within a day or two. But no, this lingered and it hurt. So I went to the podiatrist because that's what we old people do. We go to the podiatrist. And she looked at me and she looked at my feet and she said, let me see the shoes you're wearing. She said, oh, there's the problem. You're wearing these sleek, fancy sneakers like the young people wear. No, you need to be wearing these with thick soles that will cushion your bones. Oh, and throw in one of these inserts. That way your joints won't move so much. Great. But I do have this going for me. Barack Obama is no longer president. Oh, don't get me wrong. It has nothing to do with his politics. Certainly has nothing to do with his ethnicity. It has to do with the fact that he's younger than me. I am pretty certain there are clauses in the Constitution that say presidents cannot be younger than me. Fortunately, we've come to our senses and we've started electing old farts like Donald Trump and Joe Biden, people who even I can look at and say, he's old. So that's all I'm asking my fellow Toastmasters, is that I can get through this without having another president who's younger than me, because then maybe I'd get shuffled off into this world that they call the elderly. Mr. Contest Master.
Thank you so much. May we have 1 minute of silence while the judges mark their ballots. Timer, please give the signal at 1 minute. Thank you so much. And let's continue on with the contest. Welcome contestant number 4. Could you please provide a mic check?
Mic check, mic check.
Perfect. Can hear you perfectly clear. Are you happy with the way that your webcam is framed?
Yes, I am. Thank you.
Perfect. Timer, may you please announce yourself?
Timer number 1.
Awesome. Were you able to see the timer?
Yes, thank you.
Perfect. We also recommend that you pin the timer if you're comfortable doing so. Let us continue. Contestant number 4, Paolo Barone. Use it like an Italian. Use it like an Italian. Paolo Barone.
Volare, oh, cantare, oh, nel blu, dipinto di blu, felice di stare lassù. Buongiorno, good morning, Mr. Conte Chair, fellow Toastmasters. Welcome on my gondola. Sit down, relax, while I take you on a tour of Venice and tell you all about Italian gestures. First, let me tell you what happened to me last year. Exactly a year ago, my wife was pregnant with a baby girl, Stella. One morning, I took her to the doctor for a routine checkup, a few exams, and an ultrasound. While the doctor was performing the ultrasound, all of a sudden, my wife points to the screen and goes, Paolo, Paolo, look, what? The baby, she's doing this. Of course, she's Italian. She's telling the doctor, doctor, what do you want from me? Leave me alone, I'm sleeping. This is, with no doubt, one of the most known Italian gestures in the world. It's a simple question mark. What do you want? What is that? Where are you going? Now, the intensity of the question then varies depending on how vigorously you shake the hand or if you use both hands instead of one. It goes from a simple, what do you want? To more intense, what the F you want? In Italy, we like to say a gesture is worth 1,000 words. And we pretty much have a gesture for almost any situation. We can have an entire conversation without saying a single word. Hand gestures, facial expressions, body movement, all those elements part of the body language communication. And we don't think about it. They just come out spontaneously. When it comes to body language, we simply rule. Here's another one for you. This is the most feared gesture for a kid in Italy. When your mother does this, it means you did something wrong. You are in trouble. You better run and hide, because if you're caught, boom, you're spanked. And growing up as a kid, I saw my mother doing this almost every day. Of course, during the day she wouldn't catch me, but at night, at night was a different story. She would calmly come to my bed with a broomstick in her hands and would go like this. Paolo, do you remember what you did earlier? Boom! Are you going to do this again tomorrow? Boom! You better not. And the next day was the same story again. Paolo, Paolo, se ti prendo, ti spezzo in due. Ah! Typical Italian mother put this up. And then, when it comes to food, we have the king of all Italian gestures. We do this when we taste something beyond good, beyond delicious. We do it when we taste something out of this world. And not just the hand sparring up. It's the hand, the face, the whole body gets involved in the execution of this gesture. Last night, I had for dinner one of my most favorite Italian dishes, the burrata. Oh. For those of you who are not familiar with it, burrata is a special kind of mozzarella. It's a mozzarella filled, stuffed with shredded mozzarella and cream. Firm on the side, soft and creamy on the inside. And you don't open the burrata with a knife. No. Use the fork. You put the fork on the top and you press it gently until the surface breaks. And once it breaks, it's like a volcano, an eruption of flavors. Well, when I tasted the burrata last night, oh, mamma mia, it was indeed out of this world. Ehi Gino, mannaggia a te, dove stai andando? Vediamoci dopo, sì, per un caffè, un espresso, al bar quello dietro l'angolo. Va bene, ciao bello, ciao. I'm so sorry, there was Gino, a friend of mine, another gondoliere here in Venice. I told him, Gino, where are you going? Let's get together later for an espresso. Espresso bar around the corner. My fellow Toastmasters, this is just a taste of what we got. It's whatever I could fit into a 5 to 7 minute speech for you. Of course, you're always welcome back on my gondola for much, much more. And remember, 80% of communication is body language. 80%. Body language is not just important, it's imperative. Therefore, my fellow Toastmasters, when you speak, use your body language effectively. Use it like an Italian. Volare, oh, cantare, oh, nel blu, dipinto di blu, felice di stare lassù. Grazie, arrivederci, Mr. Contesher.
Thank you so much. Let's use 1 minute of silence to observe while the judges mark their ballots. Timer, please give me the signal at 1 minute. Perfect. Welcome back. Let's continue on with our humorous speaking contest. Contestant number 5, could you please provide a mic check?
Mic check, 1, 2, 1, 2.
Perfect. Can hear you perfectly clear. Are you happy with how your webcam is framed?
Yes, I am.
Looks great. Timer, could you please announce yourself?
Timer number 1.
We're able to see the timer?
Yes, I can see the timer.
Perfect. We recommend that you pin the timer if you are comfortable doing so. Let us continue. Contestant number 5, Antoine Roll. The unknown superpower. The unknown superpower, Antoine Roll.
There is an unknown superpower that we all have. This superpower can save you from embarrassment, and it can even save your life. This superpower is called regret. Now I know what you're saying. That sounds crazy, But fellow Toastmasters and guests, give me just 5 to 7 minutes and I'll explain why it's a superpower. Regret comes in 2 parts. The first part is that voice that you hear inside of your head that warns you that you are about to do something that you shouldn't. Here's an example. If you were to Google sexting, you would find that, wait, no, do not do that. Do not Google sexting. Let me just explain. Sexting is the exchanging of risque messages, and your significant other may even request that you send them a risque photo. And they promise that no one will ever see those pictures. And even if you break up and they totally hate you and want to see you suffer in the most excruciating way, they will never, ever show those pictures on the internet. It's that voice that you hear just before you are about to hit send on your phone. The second part of regret is that feeling in the pit of your stomach when you've ignored the voice and everything has gone wrong. And that feeling stays there for a long time. And no amount of chocolate cake will make it go away any faster. Believe me, I've tried. And this is the reason why we associate regret with that feeling. We remember how bad it felt. Let me give you a few personal examples of my own. Back in college, my girlfriend offered to cut my hair. I proceeded to give her the clippers. And then there was the voice again. Don't do it. But I trust her. I love her. I gave her the clippers. It only took one stroke. I'm sorry, she said. I forgot to put on the guard. Have you ever been bowling in a bowling alley? There's lanes that you play in, and each lane has guards that you can use if you're not such a good player. That is how my hair looked. Right down the middle is where she cut. Straight down, there was a blank like the lane. And on either side, my hair was like the guardrails. And as you can see, to this very day, my hair is still afraid that she's coming back with those clippers. Let me give you a more recent example. I bought a 2-step ladder in order to reach high items off of my shelves. One day, I went up to the top step to reach something, and I needed this much more space in order to reach the item that I needed. I looked down, and there was a platform, and it read, "Not a step." It looked like a step. It felt sturdy like a step. How is it not a step? I proceeded to put my foot on the platform. Don't do it. And again, I ignored the voice. It was a little wobbly at first, but it seemed to hold my weight. And I reached up for the item. And I got it. What? Did you think that I fell? Ah, and this is why regret is the unknown superpower. Sometimes we actually get lucky and things do not go wrong. And if we're lucky enough times, we totally forget that we had that warning in the beginning. I leave you with this. Some of you decided to ignore my warning, and you went off during my speech and decided to Google sexting. And you are now in the deep and darkest areas of the internet. And what is read cannot be unread. What is seen cannot be unseen. I have nothing for you. You should have been paying attention to my speech. There are some of you that after this speech, you will be curious and you'll hear that voice and you will still go ahead and do the Google search, but you will be lucky and you will simply find the example that I gave. But remember, your luck may run out the next time around. And then there will be some of you that you will listen to that voice that warns you, and you will decide that you will not do that search. At that moment, you have mastered the superpower of regret. Contest Master.
Thank you so much. Will we please observe 1 minute of silence while the judges finish marking their ballots? Timer, please give me the signal at 1 minute. Let us continue. Please welcome contestant number 6. Could you please provide a mic check?
Am I audible?
Perfect, I can hear you. Are you happy with how your webcam is framed?
I am.
Cool. Timer, could you please announce yourself?
Timer number 1.
Perfect. Were you able to hear the timer?
I was.
Perfect. We recommend that you pin the timer if you are feeling comfortable to do so. Let us continue. Contestant number 6, Jerome Johnson. A Night to Remember. A Night to Remember, Jerome Johnson.
I can remember it like it was yesterday. It was a Thursday evening in June 2005. My mother just got off from work. My sisters just came inside from hanging out with their friends. My brother somewhere out with his friends. But me, I was in the room playing a game with my friend Joey. So while everyone was having a great evening in the front, me and my friend Joey was playing Mario Kart on a Nintendo 64. Does anyone remember playing Nintendo 64? Just as we were about to cross the finish line, next thing you know, power's off. Not again, man, BC. While the place being in complete darkness, my mother shouted, JJ, go get them candles from over the cupboard. With the place being in complete darkness, I was able to find those candles, but there were only 2. So I shouted, Mommy, only 2 candles left. So I brought her the 2 candles. She placed one in the bathroom and one in the living room. Joey and I, we decided that we were going to play basketball outside in the dark. Now, fellow Toastmasters and guests, we all know when the power goes out, we tend to come inside or stay inside if we're already inside. But not us. No, not us. We decided that we were going to play basketball in the dark. So I told my friend Joey, you go. I'm going to go get my tennis. Keep in mind, there's a candle in the living room and a candle in the bathroom. So I went in the room to look for my tennis, searched under the bed, wasn't able to find it. So I went to the bathroom to get the candle, which had already burned down. I took it under the bed, found my tennis, got it, rushed outside, and then I stopped. Oh my gosh, I left the candle under the bed. So I ran in the room, went under the bed, got the candle. But now I had a serious problem. A part of the bed had already caught a fire. So I ran to the kitchen to get a cup of water to pour on the fire. But nothing happened. So I softly cried, "Mom!" Not wanting to draw any attention to myself. I ran to the kitchen again, got another cup of water to pour on the fire, but to no avail. So I cried a bit louder. My mother hearing me this time, she said, "JJ, what's going on inside there?" I said, "Nothing." Now to all the parents in the audience, we all know when our kids say nothing, we know that they are up to no good. Again, with the fire already blazed, I ran to the kitchen again for the third time, getting another small cup of water to pour out the fire, but to no avail. I cried again louder, "Mom!" My mother, smelling the smoke, she ran into the room and saw the fire. She shouted, "JJ, what the hell are you doing in here?" Only she didn't say hell. She said, so she ran to the kitchen, got a bucket of water to pour on the fire, but to no avail. So she ran in the kitchen again, got a second bucket of water, this time completely extinguishing the fire. She turned around, looked at me with rage in her eyes, and she shouted, "JJ, what the hell was doing in here?" Being so afraid, I softly said, "I was trying to find my tennis under the bed." She looked at me again with the same glare in her eyes. She tried to grab me. I ducked, ran out the back door. She chased behind me. She couldn't catch me, of course. She stopped at the back door and shouted, "You wait till you come in here. I can cut you behind." Now, fellow Toastmasters and guests, you're probably aware that my mother is the type of person that uses obscene language when she's angry. Yet alone, I ran away for about 4 hours that night. I came back to see that the power is on. I searched around the house, peeked through the window, saw my brother sitting in the couch. I knocked on the window. "EJ. EJ." He said, "Yeah." "This JJ. Open the door." He said, "Okay." He opened the door. I asked, "Is mommy sleeping?" He said, "Yes, she's sleeping in a half a bed you left in the room." Being completely exhausted, afraid, I decided to sit on the couch, not knowing when I fell asleep. A few hours later, I woke up to a big slap standing in the front of me with rage in her eyes and a big black leather belt with a gold buckle hanged over her shoulders. She shouted, "Didn't I tell you I was gonna cut you behind?" Contest chair.
Thank you so much. Let us please observe 1 minute of silence while the judges finish marking their ballots. Timer, please give me the signal at 1 minute. Thank you so much. Please welcome contestant number 7. Could you please provide us with a mic check?
Here I am. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you clear. Are you happy with how you are framed in your webcam?
You like my strawberries?
I do.
They're not talking. Wait. It's going to be me. It's going to be me. Sorry. About the strawberries. Okay.
Shock me with the strawberries.
I'm very happy, Mr. Contest Master.
Perfect. Timer, could you please announce yourself?
Timer number 1.
Perfect.
Okay,
Were you able to see the timer?
Excuse me. No. Hold on 1 second. Timer, Dr. Susan Vinetta, right?
Yeah.
That's timer number 1. Okay, great. Okay, super.
Perfect. Everything's sorted out. Were you able to pin her? Cool.
What?
Okay. Thank you. Let us get started. Contestant number 7, Patricia Brua, The Flying Nun. The Flying Nun, Patricia Brua.
Many lifetimes ago, I had the opportunity to get revenge on my boyfriend, Steve. We met when I spent a summer in Australia. Steve was as bashful as Bambi. I was as brazen as a bull. Steve was a reserved gentleman, whereas I, being Patty, was basically unbridled. But opposites attract, and we began a long-distance romance. I thought it was a given that I'd spend Christmas with Steve and his family down in Melbourne. But he said no, that I was too intense for his aging parents. Can you believe that? But when I promised to behave and not even swear, His Highness changed his mind. Outrageous. Steve had doubted that I could act like a lady. So I decided to teach him a lesson. I would show up at the airport dressed as a nun. That's right, a nun. That would show him how serene I could be. So I bought a nun's costume and packed it in my carry-on. But somewhere over the Pacific, on the plane to the land down under, my idea seemed too crazy, even for me. My resolve dissolved, and I called off the mission. I stopped to visit my friend Terry Ann in Northern Australia before flying south to Melbourne. She uncorked our farewell bottle of champagne at 5 a.m. so I could make my early flight. By the time we finished that bottle, I had enough liquid courage in me that she was able to convince me to wear the nun's outfit. Oops. It was in God's hands now. As I walked to security, I got some funny looks from the agents. My Christmas style earrings were jingling, and my bright red lipstick matched my fingers and toenails. And of course, there was the smell of perfume and alcohol in my wake. On the plane, I sat next to Casper, the petrified ghost. He was panting like a dog. Thank God you're a nun. Sister, I'm terrified of flying. Is there something you can do? Oh my God. He gave me no choice but to go all in as a nun. If I didn't stay in character, he was going to pass out. Thank God I went to Catholic school. My son, let us pray to the patron saint of flying. Works like a charm. I've never crashed. Gripping his icy hands, we bowed our heads and prayed. We humbly ask that this plane be in excellent working condition and that your angels hold it up until we land safely at our destination. Amen. The color came back to his cheeks. His breathing became calm. Meanwhile, the flight attendant was glaring at me suspiciously. Are you for real, sister? I couldn't blow my cover now and send the guy into a full-blown panic attack. Yes, my daughter. I'm a sister from the Order of Perpetual Joy. We dress up for the holidays to spread Christmas cheer. That's great, sister. Come up to the cockpit and spread some joy there. Oh, boy. But when I got to the cockpit, I just couldn't keep up the sister act anymore. I explained to the pilots that I was getting revenge on my killjoy of a boyfriend. That's a bloody good plan, mate. What a drongo. Fly up here with us until we land. Wow. I flew many magical miles over the Australian continent with a killer view until something horrific happened. All the champagne bubbles in my bloodstream popped. My liquid courage evaporated. Am I really going to land in Melbourne in a nun's outfit? So I told the pilots I had sobered up, my idea was insane, and I was going to the bathroom to change out of my habit. But they locked the cockpit door. You're not backing out of your plan, mate. Now, I was the one hyperventilating, except I didn't have a prayer. When the captain finally opened the door, the plane was empty, except for the entire flight crew. They had joined the plot against me and were blocking the galley. The pilots and the crew formed a ring around me, and then they walked me in a tight circle formation through the gangway. I couldn't escape. Oh, Father in heaven. When they finally released me at the gate, there was poor Steve, red-faced, with his chin on the floor. Thank God he didn't bring his parents. I'm sorry, Steve. I promise I won't make a habit of this. But the look on your face was priceless. Give me a minute to change. I can't wait to meet your parents. Mr. Contest Master.
Thank you so much. May we now have silence while the judges complete their ballots. Judges, at this time, please complete your ranking of the contestants. As a reminder, please print your name and sign the bottom of your ballot. Make sure you have one name for first, second, and third place, and send a copy of your ballot to the ballot counters as you were instructed to do so in the judge's briefing. Ballot counters, please remain in this room until you have received all the ballots assigned to you, and then exit to the chief judge's room. Timers, please take a picture of your timing sheets and send them in to the chief judge. Zoom techs, Could you please let me know when the Chief Judge leaves the room?
Chief Judge has left the room.
We're
Chief
good?
Judge has left the room.
Okay, perfect. Sorry about that. That's sounded like an automated message, so I didn't know if that was like the actual call or not. I appreciate it though. Thank you so much. Let us give the contestants a big round of applause via the reaction buttons on the bottom of your screen while we're waiting for the votes to be counted. But while that's going on, I have prepared a list of very serious, very personal questions for our contestants. So please, Miss Zoom Tech Coordinator, could you please allow the contestants to unmute themselves and for them to be able to turn on their cameras? Hello, once again, our fellow contestants, or in this case, you are now going to be my test subjects in my little interrogation experiment or interview for you. That's another familiar term that you probably know about. So yes, thank you for taking the time forcefully for me to ask you these questions. Speaker number one, Benita Hamilton. I have prepared this question ever since you talked about how your son likes to spend his creative endeavors. So with that being said, would you rather your son be a hawk whisperer, or would you rather him be a famous rapper as he claims to be? Because I think both at the end of the day can make a pretty good amount of money.
I would prefer for him to be a hawk animal whisperer because he's much better and the animals are much better than being the rapper, which I am not really keen on that genre of music, but I'm always keen on animals.
So what if here's just a question I just thought about just now. So it's a couple years down the line, he's known as the hawk guy. He's got hawks everywhere he goes. Would you rather him introduce himself as, hey, here I am, your son, and I also have 3 hawks on my shoulders because I'm the hawk guy now? Is that cool with you?
That would be absolutely cool as opposed to being the ganja man.
Okay, I could respect that. I do like the hawk man just a little bit more. I think the name kind of flows a little bit better. Kind of flows just a little bit better. Our contestant number 2, Mr. Daytuan. Thank you so much for enlightening the common man about how Filipinos are at work, because yes, it is true. We are all like that. I am a very heavy practitioner in believing that you can just strengthen yourselves up by eating rice. I mean, look, I've been doing it now for 26 years and man, look at this gut, man. You can tell this is where all the training's gone, baby. So you know me, I'm like the heavyweight champion of the world with just his belief alone, as our village elder Milbert once said. So I gotta ask, Daytuan, you went to a Filipino party. I heard that you had the full roasted pig, the lechon kawale, and I have to know, what were your favorite foods there? And as a Filipino who may now want to try Bahamian food, what should I be on the lookout for? Is there any foods that you recommend that I try out now?
Oh, definitely. Well, what I like most out of the party, the food that I like the most from the Filipinos was this type of seafood type of platter mixed with some type of macaroni thing. It did taste good, but there was some things I did not like and there were some things I did like. But if there's anything I would like for you to recommend, I would like to recommend you to taste in the Bahamas is a pastry called guava duff. Oh man, it's delicious. You should try it. So whenever you get a chance, if you ever come to the Bahamas, try out some guava duff.
Oof. And if we're talking pastries, the next time you go to a Filipino event, might I ask if they have any puto around? Now, I know to some of our Spanish-speaking viewers that is bad, but as Filipinos, we get a pass because it's a dessert in our culture. Guess what? Boom, I can say that word for free, and guess what? It means a little sweet little treat for me. So if you ever want to get a little pass for saying that word, just tell them that you're speaking Filipino and you're asking for a dessert item. Well, thank you so much.
What is a puto?
It's like a small little puffy rice cake.
Yes, they had that too. Perfect.
Well, I highly recommend that the next time you go to a Filipino event. Our contestant number 3, Toastmaster Terry Spencer. I don't know, man. I woke up this morning, I stubbed my toe on my bed, and I'm still feeling the after effects of it. I think I got to take myself out for a couple of weeks and nurse this injury back till it's normal. I think I give myself about 2 years before it comes back to full working condition. So here's a little question for you. I hate to bring it up, but it was the only question that I could really feel kind of matches it. A couple of days ago, my uncle said, hey, on your cousin's 21st birthday, let's go to Vegas. And I said, cool, when is that going to be? He said, that's in 5 years. I said, I'm going to be 31 when that happens. I never felt older in my entire life. So Terry, when was the exact moment that you felt that you were so old? Because for me, it was just then when I've realized I was going to be 31. And to me, that's like the end of the earth for me. I have nowhere to go after that.
Oh my God. Oh, shoot, I'm not muted. I'm sorry.
Well, you know, I don't feel so old now because now I have a woman screaming in my bedroom, so that's okay. But like I said in my speech, I really felt pretty good until I got into my 40s. And that's when I started thinking that, you know, maybe this thing's starting to get it. I was getting a little gray around the beard, and I was getting a little gray in the hair, getting a little more punch around the waist. So yes, I was starting to feel that I was getting a little bit older. But we were talking about Las Vegas. So I grew up in Los Angeles, so I've been to Vegas many, many times. And the great thing when you go to Vegas, you would always ask your friends, because people from Los Angeles go to Vegas a lot for the weekend. And a lot of them, you'll always say, well, how'd you do in Vegas? They would always say, oh, I won. Or, yeah, I broke even. Nobody ever lost. So don't worry when you go to Vegas. No one apparently ever loses money in Las Vegas. Somehow or other, they'll able to build those big old hotels without anyone ever losing any money. So enjoy yourself. Have a good time.
Thank you so much. And I'll definitely keep that in mind. For contestant number 4, Toastmaster Paolo, thank you again. I can't believe you had so much room in your 2,000 person gondola for us. I thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedule to stop at Venice and house all of us. So I'm really appreciative of it, to be honest with you. So first and foremost, I have to ask, I don't know if you're a fan of the sport, but how does it feel knowing that Italy once again was not able to qualify for the World Cup this year? I've never felt more sorry for the team, to be honest with you.
Let's stick to Toastmasters. I don't want to talk. It's too painful.
I completely understand. I don't know if you're a fan of the sport. I'm a fan of the Brooklyn Nets, and they just lost in the playoffs when they were predicted to win the thing. So I'm right there with you on the same boat. A little unfortunate for our sports teams, but also I have to ask, you said speaking or gestures are 80% of the speech. So how would you is there any categories to that, or is it all strictly just I can use any body gesture that I want? I could just throw in a body gesture here and there.
Anything has to do with the non-verbal communication is very important. I firmly believe that it's very important, 80%, maybe even more. You can have the best content in the world in your speech, but if you don't have the right body language, the right vocabulary, it's just flat. So use it like an Italian.
Perfect. And keeping on the theme of food that I was kind of bringing up. So I'm in Italy. I need something quick to snack on. What do you suggest that I get on the street if I'm feeling hungry?
Well, it depends on the time of the day. If it's early until 11 a.m., no later, you can have a cappuccino with a cornetto. Never after 11 a.m. That's a sin in Italy, especially at night. At night, after 11 a.m. until the night, a slice of pizza sounds really good. Good pizza, crunchy, very good. Simple tomato, mozzarella, or maybe burrata, even better. That's good. But remember, never cappuccino after 11 a.m. in Italy.
Oof, I had to write that all down. I hope that's on the final exam. I didn't realize there were so many rules to living in Italy all of a sudden. Well, thank you so much. And moving on to our next contestant, Toastmaster Antoine Roll. I mean, I didn't realize superpower was a big, I didn't know regret was such a big superpower. I would have been freaking Magneto over here with how powerful I am if that was the superpower. I got to ask though, what is, in your recent memory, if I could ask you right now, from your childhood, what's your biggest regret? I remember I tried to look cool in 5th grade. A soccer ball was coming my way. Kids were asking, hey, kick it back. I thought, hey, this is my moment. I've been watching some soccer. Let me just flex a little bit on these kids. Charlie Brown missed it. I'm a big guy. I must have done like 3 somersaults in the air before I fell flat on my face. I've regretted it ever since. It's still holding me up to this day. But that's a story for another time. Toastmaster Antoine Roll, what is your biggest regret from your childhood?
It would probably be thinking that I could sing. I tried out for this contest and I figured, hey, I could do it. And the DJ actually, I gave him the music and he was supposed to turn down the lyrics for the person that was actually singing it, but he still had it turned up. So therefore, when they started playing the music, I started with my cat croning and the actual music was playing up underneath and it just made it even worse. It was horrible.
Well, that does sound awful. And thank you so much again for participating. Toastmaster Jerome Johnson, I see in our little Zoom chat here that you did have to mention that my Brooklyn Nets did get swept out of the playoffs. I thank you again for rubbing salt in my theoretical wounds here. So I do appreciate that. Only stings just a little bit. But I noticed in your speech, you mentioned something very important. And that was when you mentioned Mario Kart 64. Now, Mario Kart 64, I got to tell you, man, I'm a straight shooter. I like Luigi. Who was your main and what was your favorite track from Mario Kart 64? I got to ask.
Was my favorite character, and the beach stage where you have the shortcut over the boost into the shortcut. You got it.
And I have to ask as a follow-up question, no kid ever just has a Nintendo 64 and ever only has one game on it. What was your favorite game besides Mario Kart 64 to play against your friends?
That would probably be Smash Brothers.
Oh, well, my friend, it looks like you and I need to boot up the arena someday, and we need to settle our differences in the arena because I haven't forgotten that Brooklyn Nets comment one bit. I have to tell you,
guy, whenever you're ready.
And thank you again for speaking in our contest. And of course, last but not least, our contestant number 5, Patricia. I gotta ask, do you always wear the nun costume, or is that just a thing that you prepared for the speech? Or if you're always getting alcohol at 5:30, can I also be a part with you when you go in airports with the nun costume on? Because I also kind of want that free alcohol treatment.
Mr. Contest Master, you just asked like 5 questions and I'm a little tired. I can't think so fast as you because I'm an old person, unlike you, grandfather, 31 years old to be in 5 years. Can you just ask me one question? I'm sorry.
All good. All good. Do you always wear a nun costume when you go to the airport? What's your favorite costume that you've ever worn?
No, I only wore it that one time in Australia. And do you think Steve and I are still together? What's your bet, Mr. Contest Master?
Ooh, I'd have to flip a coin, but since I just did, it was on tail, so I'm going to say no.
That's right. That's right. That wasn't the nail in the coffin. We lasted another year after that, but it was okay.
Perfect. Well, thank you guys so much. And it does lead me in to thank you guys again for participating in my rapid fire sort of style, interrogation style questions. I thank you so much. And what I do have prepared for you is that we do have the judges' results are in. So perfect. And now give me just 1 second while I think everyone is coming back in the main room. Let me just get a confirmation from one of our tech leads, if you don't mind.
Oh.
So everyone in. Okay, cool. Perfect. So with the results in, there are no disqualifications within this contest. And in third place, we have Paolo Baroni. In second place, we have Benita Hamilton. And your first place winner, coming in amongst everybody else, your District 47 Humorous Speech Contest winner is Patricia Ruo. Wow, the crowd is going insane, and I can't believe they can all hear you through one mic. That's awesome. Well, thank you again to all our winners. This humorous speech contest is adjourned. Winners, please stand by so we can get a screenshot of all of you. And it has truly been my pleasure to be your contest master for today. On behalf of all the contest team and to all of our contestants, thank you again for joining us. And thank you again for participating in my hot dogging and grandstanding. I have again been Matthew Perlis. To officially close this district event, please welcome our District 47 contest co-chair, Lepidra Damianos.
Thank you, Matthew. And on behalf of my contest co-chair, distinguished Toastmaster Patricia Stevenson, we want to thank all of you for being here this evening with us at the Humorous Speech Contest. I also want to congratulate all of our contestants and winners for this evening. But before we do leave, I want to remind you that tomorrow we will be having our final contest for this year's conference, the International Speech Contest, which begins at 7 p.m. Without further ado, I welcome our SAA, Nalia Zamora, to officially close this contest. Nalia?
Thank you, Lepidra. Thank you, everyone. What an amazing contest. We will now have a 5-minute intermission. The Laughing Yoga event will begin in 5 minutes.
Welcome to Laughing Yoga. Let's get ready to laugh. We can all use more laughter in our lives. Take charge of our well-being and get on the laughter train. To get the best experience from this session, turn on your mics. Dr. Maurice Fuller is a clinical pharmacist, an ordained interfaith minister, a certified spiritual counselor, a certified mindfulness teacher. He is also a certified advanced trainer of Jack Canfield Success Principles and cooperates these principles as a motivational, transformational speaker, helping people with their personal development and to become better mindful leaders. He has a passion for contemplative and introspective practices. His interest in the practice of mindfulness led him to participate in various mindfulness workshops and retreats. He has completed the Power of Awareness training